Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and I'm super excited to see you. Welcome to another week. So I said Happy New Year last week because that was really our first show since the new year. So in case you missed that one, Happy New Year again. And guess what? I have even more surprises for you from Brother. They're bringing back the Thursday show. So not only will I see you today, I will see you on Thursday at noon. So you guys keep leaving comments and Brother hears you. So here we are. So we have a great show for you today. Do you know who's coming on? It's one of your favorites. Yes, you saw us at Houston Quilt Fest having so much fun with the Brother Avenir, and now we're going to even have more fun today. So I'm giving you a hint what he's working on today. In fact, I think this sweater is about the biggest sweater I own because when we're finished, I'm going to figure out a way to repurpose it, just like Jerry's going to show us. So pop in, say hi. We are live. And we will be bringing up your questions. I can see everyone on YouTube's already scrolling in, and we're live on Facebook too. But let's say hi to Jerry Granata, Brother Educator. Jerry, every time you're on here, this is one of my favorite shows. We have so much fun. Welcome, Jerry. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much, Angela, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I have got some really different creative things to be able to do with sweaters, and I'm very excited to get started.
I'm super excited, and all the Brother fans are rolling in. They're already saying hi. It looks like YouTube hit first, and now we're waiting for Facebook. But Jerry, this is super exciting. So the first thing I asked you, and I know everybody's going to ask as soon as they scroll in, so I'm going to ask you again, even though I know the answer. I don't hear any snoring anywhere.
Well, I do have a CPAP machine now, and I'm working on that personally. Oh, you mean Hercules? Okay, all right. Hercules, yes. Hercules is in the dungeon, so he's around, but he's not in the room. So his snoring tends to take over.
If he comes by, make sure that we take a moment to welcome him because we miss him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It is. All right, Jerry, I'm going to let you take it away because you're going to be talking about sweaters, which are big right now because it's freezing where I am. And I cannot wait to see what you work on.
Yeah, I am so excited to be able to show this. So originally, just to get started, my intention was not to wear a shirt that matched my sewing room, but here we are. It just seemed to happen that way. So good morning, everybody. For those who may not know me, I am Jerry Granata. I'm a Brother National Educator, and I'm so thrilled to be here. Again, if you saw us in Houston, Angela and I had a wonderful time. It was so much fun. I hope we get to do that more. But today we are going to be talking, it's all about sweaters. As Angela said, it's cold everywhere. It's not here where I'm at. I'm in Palm Springs, California, where it's 8,000 degrees every single day. So we don't have much to do with sweaters except using running projects.
I'm like going to have to mute myself. You're killing me over here between matching your wall and 8,000 degrees.
I know. Well, you know me. Life's all about fun. Have a good time. You get one shot on this big rock. Make it a good one. All right, so let's get started. I'm very excited. So we're going to talk about sweaters, upcycling, refashioning, just kind of talk about things here and there. Now, the first thing that I want to point you to is the quilt that is behind me. I made this several years ago. It is all out of recycled fabrics. So there is velour, there's satin, there's silk that I got from dresses from the thrift shop. There's a thrifted sweater in there in the quilt block. What? You can use sweaters in a quilt block? Yes. And guess what? It's washable. Absolutely. So there's like taffeta and all sorts of brocade from a pillow that I found. So yeah, it's all recycled. I was in the Navy for 21 years. Retired honorably from the Navy. I was a musician, so I've always been doing things artsy and craftsy. There's even some of my uniforms in there that they were worn, had gotten some holes in them, so I used that in there. So really, you can think of this as a memory quilt. So the one that I want to point out, let's see if I can do this. The one right here with the black stars with the red insert. I feel like a forecaster. We're having a front right here. We're going to be coming in here. It's going to get very cold over here. Anyway, now, so we've got this star quilt here, the black one that has a recycled sweater in there. This quilt has been washed several times. Nothing has ever happened. Nothing's ever bled. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about where do you get sweaters? What do you do with them? How to disassemble them? We're going to talk about wool, alpaca, rabbit, muskrat. We're going to talk about all of that, all those natural fibers and how you can felt them and turn those into totally new fibers. I use what's called a wet felting method. I use my washing machine to do it, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So let's get started. First off, where do you get sweaters? Start with your closet, right? You probably have some stuffed in the back somewhere.
No.
And I
Only
know
about 20
nobody does,
years
right?
ago.
Nobody has sweaters. So yeah, start with your closet. Start with your closet. It's a great place to start. What kind of fabrics can you use? Any fibers that you want to. It's all good in sweater world. So start with your closet. Go through there, see if you got anything. If you don't, and you need to check some other stores, try thrift shops. They're really great for this kind of thing. Lots of sweaters. And you can go to the men's department, the ladies department, children's department. You can find some really cute sweaters in the children's department as well. Where else? Garage and yard sales. Check those. You might have some in your neighborhood. And we're talking about rock bottom prices here, folks. You're not paying $50 and you're going to cut it up, right? You're spending a minimum, a few dollars at most. And a lot of the thrift stores have clearance bins too. So check those as well. Speaking of clearance, go to the stores, check the clearance racks. Sometimes they have year-old, 2-year-old maybe, last season's sweaters, really at cut rate markdown prices. Check there. You're going to have a lot of resources to be able to find these sweaters. All right, so now what do we do with them? So we've done all our shopping, we've gathered all of our stuff. What do we do with it? So when working with sweaters, the first thing, I'm going to give you a couple tips. The first thing is use scraps to test your stitches first. And I do this anyway. I am a huge proponent. If you've ever been to my classes or lectures, I have 3 words that I live by: test, test, test. I test everything first. I never, ever, ever use my final project as a test field, because absolutely nobody on this planet hates ripping out stitches more than I do. So, so I don't like doing that. So pre-plan, test everything, test all your stitches, use as similar fiber and a similar texture sweater as you can to your finish, and then test your stitches. The great thing about sweaters is they're so forgiving. Even if your stitches aren't perfect, usually the stitches get embedded into the fiber, so you don't even see them anyway. You're just using them to hold it all together. So, all right. So next thing is there's going to be lint, sometimes a lot of it. So you do want to clean your bobbin case often. It's not going to damage your machine. You just want to make sure that you get in there more often and really clean that out. I use like a mini vacuum attached to my regular vacuum. I have an artist paintbrush that I use as well, and I suck all of that lint out of there. That way everything plays well at the playground with my sewing machine. All right, more tips. First thing you want to do when you're looking for sweaters is inspect and check for moth holes or stains. Now, these are not a game killer, right? You still can use them. You can wash these sweaters as well, and you should anyway before you use them. But check, even if you have moth holes, usually that's going to be found in wool or natural fiber sweaters. Even if you do, just kind of look at it. See, how much yardage can I get out of this? Maybe I can just avoid that hole in general. Maybe I can repair it. So if you like a lot of these fibers, especially wool, after you felt it, it gets very dense and very compacted. So you might be able to flip the hole upside down and do a little mending from the inside. That way you'll never see it. I do that all the time, and you cannot tell where the holes were unless they're big ones. And then you just cut around it. So again, it's not a deal breaker. So also check for the lint. All right, so some more tips. When you're looking for a sweater, you want to choose a variety of colors, right? This is a great way to get out of your box, folks. If you've been looking, new year, new things, right? If you're looking to get out of your box and try some new things, try colors that you've never used before. Really get out of your box. If you don't like purple, go to purple. If you don't like pink, go to pink. Now, in my world, what happens to me is colors seem to come to me. I don't know why. So I just, all of a sudden, I'll just start seeing a bunch of colors. I'm like, okay, I have to use that in a project. As an example, I'm working on a new show quilt, and the color pink had come to me. And I don't know, I'm not a fan of pink. I don't know why, but I just started seeing all this pink stuff. So I'm like, okay, that means I'm supposed to do pink. So I did pink. I don't see it anymore, but now purple is coming into my, I'm seeing a whole lot of purple, different things from all different areas, and it attracts my attention. So that means I'm supposed to do a purple quilt. These are colors that are not in my natural wheelhouse, but I'm forcing myself to use them. And I'm really enjoying the final product. So select a variety of colors in your sweaters, right? If you find one with a really unique color or a really unique design, grab it, because you know how this works when you go to a store and you're like, oh, I really like the fabric, but I'll just wait, I'm not sure. Next thing you know, the bolt is gone and they don't reprint them. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if you find a really unique sweater, grab it. Again, you're talking about minimal pricing here. So it's not like you're spending $100 on a sweater, probably $4, $5, $6-ish. So, all right. Also, select a variety of textures and weights. So there's different kinds of weights for sweaters and different kind of textures. Look for some really cool, funky stuff. I'm going to show you some samples here in a bit of different sweaters that I found, and the textures are just amazing. I mean, you could use these art quilts. You could.
Uh-oh, Jerry, your mic, I think, just died.
Oh,
now you're back. It died, and now you're back. While you're fixing it, I'm here laughing. I know exactly why you had pink in your wheelbarrow, because you hung out with me for the whole week of Quilt Fest. It's like all I have is pink. It's like my favorite, pink, pink, pink. So I'm pretty sure I infected you with the pink.
Infected me. Nice. Thanks a lot, Angela. No, no, it had been working on me for about can you hear me again?
I can hear you, and now you froze a little bit. So let's see if it comes back. Gotta love the gremlins on the live shows.
Oh, we cut out.
Where did you go?
Is that me or you?
Oh, I'm here. You're frozen.
It's locking
Jerry,
up.
you're back. You're back. I think you're back. Let me check. No, Jerry's gone. So we got so excited about all these colors. I'm sitting here listening to his stories, like gathering, looking around at all my sweaters I've got laying around. We got to wait for Jerry to come back to us. We lost him. All right. So do we do just like a live Q&A until he comes back? Or do you want to know what I'm working on? Actually, I'm really thinking of working on those sweaters now. Very fun. Glenda, I saw that. It's not 8,000 degrees. It's 44 degrees. He's coming back. I see he logged out. So by the way, would you like to know who's coming on the show on Thursday while we're waiting for Jerry to load back in? Yeah, I've got Emily Thompson and Laura Pfeiffer. And Emily's going to be showing, I just got the message, how to put mesh on the side of your leggings. Super fun, super easy. She's going to be using the airflow serger and the cover stitch. And Laura, I'm not sure yet, but I know it has something to do with leggings. So, all right, I think I see Jerry back. We have to do like something in the comments if Jerry disappears again, but I think he's back. Let's see. Jerry?
I am here.
You're here.
I don't know what happened.
Yay.
Everything just sort of locked up. My internet's good. I don't know. That was weird.
It's just
Anyway.
gremlins while we're live.
Gremlins,
but we
yeah.
got everything up to the point of gathering your sweaters of all different colors and everything else. And then I'll let you take it away again.
All right. So now what do we do with them, right? What do we do? So what you're going to do is you've got your colors, you've got your textures and weights. I'm going to give you a tip on maximizing fabric yardage. Go to the men's section and get an XL at least, extra large, 2XL, 3XL. Try to find the biggest men's sweaters that you can. And the reason why I say that is it's going to maximize your yardage, and probably that sweater is going to be the same price as like a woman's small. So you're getting more yardage out of it. Now, if you see a really unique texture and design and color in a woman's small, get it, right? You can always make something out of that. Even like I said, the little kid sweaters, you can still make things out of those, especially if they're really, really cute designs. So yeah, check the maximum yardage, check the men's XL sections. All right, now what do you do with it? So you've got this sweater, you've washed it, you're ready to use it. So now what? You have to disassemble it, right? So the first thing you're going to want to do is, if there are any buttons or hardware on that sweater, remove them and save them for another project. So again, we're still recycling and upcycling. You can probably use that hardware somewhere on a bag that you're making. The buttons are always useful. You can use those either on a garment or as something decorative. So save them, save them, save them. Now, what you're going to do is turn the sweater inside out, exposing the seams. Then you're going to cut as close as possible to the seam. And I have a little example here. I'm going to show you. So here's an arm sleeve, right? So I've turned this inside out. I've exposed it. Now you're just going to trim as close as you can on both sides of the seam. You don't want to save the seam unless you're using a project that you need it. But most of the time, you're just looking for yardage. So just cut as close as you can to all the seams. So you're going to do the arm seam. You're going to do the shoulder seam. If you want if you don't want the collar, trim that as well. These make really great kids' headbands. Just saying, don't throw it out. Save as much as you possibly can. So yeah, so that's, you want to maximize the yardage if you can. So now what you want to do, you have trimmed all your sweaters. You've got them exactly the way you want them. You've got the maximum yardage. How do you store them? So the thing you're going to want to use is a tight fitting container of some kind. It can be, you really don't want to use wood unless it's cedar, which is a natural moth repellent, but use like a plastic bin. And then you're going to put lavender sachets on the inside. If you're a little nervous about maybe the essential oil kind of bleeding over onto the sweater, then put it in like a plastic zipper bag of some kind, but leave it open. So that way you're not getting the oils all over your sweater, but use a sachet of some kind. Also, cotton balls with essential oils work great. That works really well. And the scents that you're going to want to look for that moths hate is peppermint, thyme, rosemary, cedarwood, and lavender. These are all great natural moth repellents. And so that way you're sure that your sweaters and your yardage is going to be nice and smooth and pretty for the rest of its life. All right, let's talk about felting. Felting is awesome. It is a great way to use those natural sweaters, those wool sweaters. What is felting? What it does, and I use wet felting. I use my washing machine. So what that is felting, it bonds the fibers together and it compresses them and it makes a dense, flat fabric. So it's really just a way to condense all of those fibers together so that you get a little bit heavier, denser fabric. Now, you want to use wool sweaters usually with an 80% or higher wool content. So I have used, I recently got some sweaters that had a 40% wool, and they actually felted pretty well. So you can get away with that. Just make sure that there aren't all of these other fibers involved, and then you have wool, right? Make sure that there's a lot of wool in there at least. If you really want to use pure wool, 80% wool or better. And that will be on the tag. It should be on the tag of the percentage of all these fibers. You can also use alpaca, goat, rabbit, muskrat. Yes, if you can find a muskrat sweater, let me know where you found it, because I really want to know. But that's a natural...
We have little muskrats that live where we keep our boat in the summer, and they're the cutest things. I'm like, I want them for pets, and so then I could just brush them and gather all their hair. Is that how that works?
Brush them and get the fibers. Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, totally. Any of those natural fibers are also going to felt. Now it's going to felt differently, so of course you're going to want to do a test, but you can certainly use all of those fibers. Yep, go brush those alpacas, goats, and muskrats, folks. Use those fibers.
You made a really good point here, Jerry, about what the percentage of wool is. And I would love to know in the comments if anybody's tried doing this before, because you remember, well, I think they're still in style, but like maybe about, 15 years ago, maybe 20, the big thing was to knit a really cute bag. You knitted the bag about this big, and then you put it in the wash in the dryer. Well, yep. I missed the wool memo. So I crocheted this bag about this big, put it in the washer and dryer, and it came out this big. Oh. And it was not wool. And all it did was stretch out, and it ended up being like, well, in the trash. But that was one that was crocheted. But so it's really important on there. And I wanted to stress that, what you mentioned about the wool, because if not, it's not going to shrink down and it's not going to compact.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole point of felting. Yeah, don't try this with acrylic. Don't try this with polyester. Use a natural fiber. So wool, not cotton. That's a whole different ball of wax. But yeah, use wool, alpaca, goat, rabbit. Any of those kind of things in there will felt down. So now, how do you do this by machine? So I'm going to give you some tricks here. First off, wash these sweaters with like colors. All right. Don't you now wool tends to bleed. If you've ever used rayon thread, I did a quilt, a red work quilt. I had white cotton and I used a red rayon thread. And the next thing I knew, I had a pink quilt. So you want to be very careful with natural fibers. If you're going to have a hot pink sweater, a wool sweater, do not wash that with a white sweater. Ask me how I know. You'll have a pink sweater, unless that's your intention at the end. You couldn't find a pink sweater, so let's just wash it with the red one, and now you have a pink sweater. But try to wash them with light colors. Now, to felt, you want to set your machine at the hottest water setting. All right, and this is top or front loader. I have a front loader. It works just fine for me. I set it for extra hot. You want to use the hottest water that you have. All right, and then you want to use a minimal amount of soap. You're only using enough to just clean the sweater, right? Especially if there's any stains. But you don't want to leave soap in there, but for sure. If you've used a little too much soap, you can always rinse it again. You can put it through a rinse cycle, but just use a minimum amount of soap. That way you're not using too much. Now, because you're washing wool in hot water, you want to check it about every 5 minutes. You want to prevent over shrinking, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to have, remember I told you, go to the men's extra large, and you're going to get an extra large. You want to maximize the yardage. So you put it on hot water and you let it run through the whole cycle. And the next thing you know, you have a doll sweater. So you want to minimize over shrinking. So you just want to check it every few minutes, every 5 minutes is good. And you'll see as it's going to start to get a little bit smaller. So you just want to be careful that you haven't over shrunk it. Also, once the sweater has felted to your liking, take it out of the washer and lay it flat to dry, because you don't want to shrink it anymore. Now, perhaps maybe again, you've got a 30% wool content or something like that. And it has shrunk a little, but because it's not predominantly wool, it hasn't shrunk as much as you would like or felted as much as you would like. Then you can throw it in the dryer. If you have a 100% wool sweater and you've got it where you like it after the washing machine, don't put it in the dryer, lay it to dry. Because again, you will get doll clothes. It'll turn into a big sweater is going to turn into a little tiny sweater. So you don't want that. And then you're going to, if you have any cool designs, you're going to like the cable knit and things like that, you're going to lose that because it's all just going to felt into one big solid thing. So if you want to keep that, just check it. But again, if you want to just shrink it even more, just throw it in the dryer. But again, check it every once in a while, check it frequently to make sure you haven't over shrunk. So really, those are the main tips for felting and for finding sweaters. It's not complicated. You don't have to overthink it. It's really just basic stuff. But what's funny is with wool sweaters, to felt, you're doing everything your mother and grandmother told you not to do, right? And your brain is having to fight this, right? Don't put it in hot water, and you're shaking as you're putting the sweater in hot water. But again, you're felting it, so you want it to do this. So try to override your brain if you can.
Gary, I think this is a great thing because even if you accidentally screw up your sweater, like I have to just say, many years ago, I made a beautiful wool turtleneck because we were going snowmobiling, and my husband washes everything in hot. It doesn't matter if it's felting or not. And my sweater came out this big.
Yep,
so
it's great for your dolls.
We'll just if you screw up your wash, we're gonna call it felting. How's that?
Yeah. Poof, you have a pet sweater. Congratulations,
Definitely.
you have a pet sweater, and you can go, yeah, I meant it to do that. I made it for that. So yep.
I would love to know in the comments how many people have shrunk their wool items, not on purpose, but now we have there's always a solution. Now you're felting.
Oh, I'm sure it's a tremendous amount of people that have accidentally, probably. You're not going to purposely do it, but accidentally shrunk your sweater into a dog sweater. It'd be great for Hercules. If you have dog sweaters, sweaters like that, I'd love to have them because I'll turn them into dog sweaters for him.
Hercules is a pretty big dog. That would have to be a pretty big sweater coming down.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, he's a bulldog, he's an English bulldog. So you look at him, he's kind of small, but he's 60 pounds. I call him a bowling ball on legs. He's a brute. Yeah, he's a big boy. But yeah, the point that you had too about the crocheted and knit wool bags, that's a great resource too. So don't just stop at the clothing area. Look and see if somebody had made a wool bag or something like, or crochet or knit. That's another resource for these kind of fibers. So, and these kind of textiles. So yeah, don't overlook those either.
I'm getting inspired, Jerry. I'm getting inspired.
Yes. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to one of my cameras, Angela. So I'm going to meet you over there.
Sounds good. I'll let you know when you're back up here. So I would love to know in the comments, have you ever shrunk a wool sweater or a wool garment? Not on purpose. Because I'm not kidding. Mine turned out this big and I was not a happy camper since I'd sewn the entire thing. In fact, I think it was 3 of those that he washed all together, but that's all right. We're still married. It's been like 30 years. I forgave him.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you just had, you only can fight so many battles, right?
Pick
some
your
you
battle.
have to overlook. So
Jerry, are you I know some people are going to ask, are you on the Luminaire, correct?
I am on the Luminaire, and I'm going to be on the Airflow 3000 later. So I'm going to do some serging as well. So, but yeah, I love the Luminaire. It's a great machine. It is wonderful. And I love this huge extension table that you have. So let me pull out some sweaters. So let's just get a little bit more into this. So here I have a merino wool sweater, right? And I know everybody is horrified. Merino wool, it's expensive. Why are you ruining it? This was from a thrift shop. This was $4, right? So it was not expensive at all. So I don't feel bad about it. The thing about merino wool, it's really light, right? It's a very lightweight wool. It is not heavy at all. This has been felted. So it has a lovely texture to it. This would be great for pillows and things like that. So here, remember I was talking about hardware, save the buttons, take those off and save them. You could use those for other projects. And then this sweater, once you felted it, it's all ready to use. This is a men's extra large, so you get a lot of yardage here to make all your different projects. All right, let's look at another one. I ran out of time to do this because I love to hand dye, but here's a sweater that is cute, right? It's cute. It is, it's got some age to it. It's been used. It's got a couple holes in it. However, this is a 100% cotton sweater. It's still cute. Imagine if you hand dyed this, ice dye it or solid color. If you don't like the color, try a solid color. I suggest a permanent dye, not a water-based dye like you'd buy at a big box store. Get the permanent dyes because that way, after washing, it's not going to fade. The colors are going to stay. They're going to be bright and beautiful. Plus, you can get some really funky kind of ombre look to this. So you could change the whole look of this if you wanted to. So you didn't have to just stick with this. Now, you could cut this up if you want. I think this would make a pretty cool tote bag, the front of this. I think this would be awesome. So, yeah. But again, remember I said, look for textures. Look for different textures and weights of things, different fibers, because they all do different things. So let's get more into, here I have some samples of some sweaters, right? So here's what we're used to. So I've got a little sample here. Look how you can see the machine. You see my fingers behind there. This is how open weave it is. This is not a deal killer, right? But notice how stretchy this is, right? This is exact opposite of what sewers and quilters are looking for, right? Most quilters will look at this and be horrified. However, I have a trick, and I do this. Remember, I'm the unusual fabrics guy, so I use this stuff all the time. Now, I do want to eliminate the shrinkage, so what do? Aha, the secret. You're going to go to either online or to your store, and you're going to buy some very sheer weight fusible interfacing. You're going to fuse it to the back of your sweater, and look what happens. It takes all of that shrink out. So I'm going from this to this, and it's taken all that shrink out and all the stretch. So this is the amazing thing. Now try to find the most sheer weight that you can. They are on the market. Just look for the sheerest one that you can find. And what that does is you can see how soft this still is. This doesn't make the fabric hard at all. It's still soft. It's still pliable. It didn't add a lot of weight to the hand at all. But then you have a fabric that you can use, especially if you're going to do this for quilt blocks, because you don't want your quilt tops to be stretching all over the place. So let's see, what else? So this is going to blow your mind. What is this? So I noticed that after I felted my projects, excuse me, my sweater, I had this gorgeous lint in my dryer. So I pulled it all out and I put it between two pieces of organza and I started stitching on it. So here I did some straight stitching. I've got some decorative stitches here. I did some free motion quilting here and some feathers here. So again, save all of this. This is all usable. Remember, my grandparents they went through the Depression. So I grew up learning the phrase make do or do without. So this is a way to use all of this. And this is wool. So you could felt this as well. That might give once it shrinks, that might give some really cool texture to some of these designs. So yeah, use the fabric, use the lint.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So that is lint out of your dryer.
Yeah.
Of the wool that you washed.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. My mind just exploded on that. That is gorgeous.
So here's the lint in its raw form, right? All you do is you just kind of stretch it out so that you don't have any holes in it. And this will stretch pretty far. And then you're going to sandwich that between the organza and stitch over it. Now this could be metallic threads. This could be gorgeous. This could be like if you fold out, this could be a purse handle if you wanted, a bag handle. It could be a strap for a purse. It could be an accent on a tote bag, on the pocket. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. I would love to see in the comments while Jerry moves on. Are you blown away by this? Because I'm going to start looking at my dryer a whole different way when we wash our wools. And I mean, seriously, that is gorgeous.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. That's
and again, none of what I'm showing you is complicated at all. So it's just lint sandwiched between the organza and stitched over. That's it. And it's stitched beautifully. There was nothing with it. There was no skip stitches. Even the free motion quilting was gorgeous. All turned out really great.
Barbara Jones, I love that. Barbara's like, leave it to Jerry to come up with something that we all throw out and you turn it into something gorgeous. I know, Barbara. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I love it. I love to see how much, but it's also a challenge. You just challenge yourself to see, how can I use this? Again, it's New Year, folks. Let's get out of our boxes. Let's really challenge ourselves to do something different. And your first attempts may not turn out great, but again, it's like anything. You didn't start out knowing how to drive, right? You had to learn how to drive. So probably your first effort wasn't that great. I almost hit a tree, but we won't get into that right now. So I was talking about quilt blocks. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm sorry. But this is really basic sewing, right? This is just easy sashing strips like we normally do, but the center is a sweater. Let's see if I can get in close. I guess it's not going to do it. Look at the texture on that. Could you imagine having an entire quilt like this? Your friends are going to come in and say, where did you get that? I made it. Can you make me one? No. But look at the texture. Beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Can you imagine an entire quilt of this? It would be the most unique quilt because of this texture. People are going to want to go up and just touch it because it's really, really cool. But again, that's a way to use a sweater. That's how I used it in the quilt that I showed you earlier. That's just one way to kind of use it. So let's talk about some of the sweaters. So you can see here, remember I talked about disassembling? So you can see I cut around just as close as I could to that seam line once I turned it inside out. But look at this gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. I mean, there's so much you could do with this. I mean, this could be a unique project just from that. And then have this as your contrast fabric. So, and look at this was I believe a woman's large or a woman's medium. I can't remember. But I shrunk this down. It kind of felted it a little bit. It's a cotton, but it did shrink it, of course. But look at how much you can see how far my hands are apart. There's a lot of yardage here. There's certainly a lot that you can do. And not only that, I have another arm and another body of that sweater that I could use. So here's another sweater that I found. It was a purple with metallic. And what did I make out of this? A grocery bag. And this could not have been easier to make. So this was just, you can see it's the top of the sweater that I cut down and I kept the seams on the side. So all I had to do was shorten it at the bottom and then put a seam there, turn it inside out. Poof, I have a grocery tote bag. So the arms of the sweater itself become my bag handles. So now I can fill up my bag and I can go grocery shopping. I've recycled this. This is not ending up in a landfill. And I've got a bag that I know people are going to go, where did you get that? I say, I made it. Now check this one out. This is really cute too. This is a pillow that I made. This came from, and I don't know why it's showing red. This is hot pink, but this is a wool, 100% wool sweater, woman's sweater. You can see the ribbing still in there. That's why I said if I would have felted this anymore or shrunk it anymore, I would have lost all that ribbing. But you can still see it. Isn't that gorgeous? I think it's beautiful. This is a very nice, dense kind of fabric. It'd be great for a pillow, but I used for a pillow by itself, but I just decided to use some scraps out of my, remember we're recycling. So I used scraps out of my bin and some buttons that I already had. So just a simple basic pillow, but look how effective this is. Look how it just really elevates the look of a pillow, an accent pillow. Or this could be a large pillow, whatever you like. But the wool would be so nice because, you know, wool is breathable. So it's going to be very natural. It's going to be very nice. So here's another project that I did. They're sweater booties. These are awesome. So you can make little booties out of sweaters that you can wear around the house. If it gets a little too chilly, these are awesome. So again, just made out of sweaters. And the other side is a sweater as well. So I don't have...
Gary, I love those. I need those right now here in Michigan. Those are amazing.
So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this for you live online. That's how simple and quick and easy this is. So let me show you what we started with here. So here's the sweater that we started with. 100% wool. Very nice wool. Beautiful. Very soft. Very nice. But here again, you're going to want to turn this inside out so you can see the seams. Let me get under the light a little better for you. So you want to see the seams, and then you're just going to trim as close to these seams as you possibly can on both sides. So you just trim all that away, and you have all this yardage now to make something out of. So I don't have dimensions for this. I'm going to show you how simple this is. This only takes 3 parts per booty, and that's it. So you're going to take part of the arm, and you're going to cut your pattern out of the basic body of the sweater. So what you're going to do is, I like to use like 6 inches. So I'm just going to measure 6 inches from the end of the cuff down and trim or cut. This can be any length you want. You want it a little bit longer. Maybe you want this longer to go up your leg a little bit farther. But since these were booties, I just kept it at about 6 inches. And you're going to do that for both of your sleeves. So you've got 2 pieces here. And then out of the body of your sweater, you're going to fold it in half so that there are 4 layers. And you're going to either place your foot on, or you're going to place a shoe on here, and you're going to just trace around it, just cut around it. And you could do a rough cut. This isn't anything complicated. You could rough cut around. You could see it's not, you know, this is not the neatest I've ever trimmed something, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to stitch it up and I'm going to serge those edges. So it won't matter at all. So I've got 2 pieces here. You're going to put these right sides, or you're going to put these wrong sides together, actually. In this case, what's great about this is it's the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter. So you can't mess this up. So you're going to take the top portion of each side, and you're going to cut a semicircle. Now this is just, again, we're just rough cutting this. This is not fancy at all. So I've just cut a half circle. Let me get some of this out of the way so you can see it. So, I mean, that is just terrible, but that's that is just a rough cut, and it doesn't matter because we're going to sew it. And this is not couture sewing, folks. We're not making couture wedding dresses here. This is just basic stuff that we're doing here. Just a rough cut semicircle on both of your tops. Now you're going to put one of the tops away, and you can get rid of this little section, but again, you could save that for something as well. And then you're going to take your top section, your little cuff, and you're going to place this inside. Now I'm going to do some pinning here, Angela, so this might be a great time to answer some questions if we have any.
I'm absolutely loving this. You were talking about weddings. this would really make a great wedding gift, by the way.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, because you're always thinking, when I used to help, design wedding dresses and alter wedding dresses, there was
Yep.
always the after party. These could be so cool, made out of something. Oh my gosh, super fun. So, all right,
What a great idea. That is an
I know.
awesome idea.
I love
You
this.
could even do like oh, what do they call it? Bachelorette parties where you wear matching sweaters and then you make your booties out of the sweater part after you're done. And now
This
you've
is
got
fun.
a memento of that. So that would be cool.
There was a question for you a while
Yeah.
back. I can't remember who asked it, so forgive me for not bringing it up. But someone wanted to know, can you use one of the samples you showed earlier that we were like lint? Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you use tulle instead of organza? Do you think that would work just as well?
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you want to test it. You want to make sure that it's not going to pull out. If you used a fine tool, I think you're okay. I think if you use the wider tool, I think the fibers might sort of migrate out from the holes.
You'd start looking like an alpaca.
Yeah. All right. So we're just going to, here's a pro tip for anyone who may not know. Your sewing machine works better if your needle is threaded. So fun fact, use that as you wish. All right. I think we're good.
Gosh.
All right. So now we're just going to stitch. And I'm not going to do all of this, so I don't want to take up too much time. But we're just going to sew. And you're going to stitch all the way around that. So what that's going to create is your seam inside here. Let me turn this inside out. So you're going to create your seam. And that's what's going to create your seam around your booty. You're just going to go all the way around. And then you're going to go over to your serger. And you're going to put your top and your bottom together. And you're going to serge around them. So once you've got that all stitched, you're going to take your bottom section. And you're going to layer those together. And you're going to serge around. So I'll just do a rough serge here. Now I'm going to head over to the serger, Angela. So just letting you know here.
While you're heading over there, there was another question. I missed this one. Sorry, Glenda. Glenda wants to know the techniques you were showing with the sweaters. Could they be used with t-shirts? But you'd have to have a wool t-shirt because you said cotton is not as good.
Oh, that's a great question. Of course you can. Sure. Absolutely. Yep, you sure can.
Glenda,
any of those natural fibers. Because remember the merino wool was really really thin as well. So that would be similar to a t-shirt.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but Glenda, you're allergic to wool, so I don't think that's going to work for you. But there's other fibers that you could use to try. What would be some other ones that would be in a t-shirt, Jerry?
Oh gosh. Well, again, I've seen those natural fibers, rabbit, Angora, those kind of things. You can certainly use those in there as well. Imagine what that would be like as a bootie. Oh my gosh, that'd be so soft and lovely.
So beautiful.
I'd never leave home. I just want to wear my alpaca booties. All right, so here we are at the serger. Now, whoops. Now, folks, it's an earthquake. I'm in California. Just kidding. I just hit I am at the Airflow Brother 3000 Airflow sewing machine, serger. And I absolutely love this machine. It does have airflow. I'm going to do a little quick press release here. It does have the airflow for the upper and lower looper. So if you have never used a serger that has air threaded loopers, it is a game changer. Basic, just workhorse of a serger. I can't recommend this high enough. It's just amazing. And what I love about it too is it's not the loudest serger on the market. It's very quiet. Now, the thing about going around curves, a little tip for sergers here, you don't want to pull, you don't want to push, you just want to let you're guiding. You just want to let the machine do the work. You just kind of, whoops, I got a little thread breakage there, but that's okay. So let me pull this out. Anyway, you get an example here. So what you're going to do, all the way around the booty.
I'm sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you're going to have your end piece here, and you're just going to use a large needle, and you're going to tuck that in. So, yep, that's all you have to do. And you're done with your little booty. And that's it. And once you're done, I'm going to head over to my main camera here.
While you're headed over there, there's Victoria. Yeah. She said she's recovering from surgery and needs some warm Tootsies. I could definitely understand that. And yes, it's a great time to use your airflow serger. But here, I wanted to get to this. Mary Lou said, what type of thread were you using for the sewing side?
Good point. I'm sorry, I meant to say that. That's a great question, Mary Lou. I was using in the top and the bobbin, I was using a 40 weight brother thread, just a polyester thread. That's all I was using there. And on the serger, I was using the same kind of brother polyester in the needles, and then a decorative metallic thread in the loopers. So I don't know if you can kind of see them here, but you can see that it's like a gold sparkly metallic. I mean, this would be great for holidays. This would be great for the holidays too. Just make your family a bunch of holiday booties.
Oh, I love that.
Another kind of tip that I have here. So, do you remember the pillow that I made at? Well, it showed up red, but it was hot pink. I had some extra yardage from that. So what I did is I made a candle wrap from that. So this is just a candle, and I added some embroidery to the front. And on the bottom, I had some of my scrap fabric left over. So I created a little circle, sewed that around, flipped it inside out, and I was done. I mean, it really was that simple. And the nice thing about that is you do not have to trim. Look at how finished this is. Once you've felted this wool, the raw edges don't fray and they don't cause any linting. So you don't even have to finish this unless you want to. If you wanted to you wanted to take a serger and go around there, you could, but you don't have to. But what a great gift this would be, right? This was inside the luminaire. This is one of the, oops, I'm going the wrong way. This was inside the luminaire, one of the built-in designs. And again, just used a piece of scrap fabric on the bottom, and that was it. And I have a nice little candle wrap here. Great as a gift. Again, it'd be great for oh gosh, wedding, new home, anything like that. It'd be great for that. And that took literally minutes to do. It's so easy. That's why I said I didn't want to intimidate people with all these big complicated projects that you can, of course, but it's nice just to have simple little things to start with. And if you've never done this before, if you've never used sweater fabric before, I suggest you start small. Please don't go hard at it with these really complicated projects. You're just going to frustrate yourself. So start out with like a candle wrap or something small, something easy to do, and then learn the techniques, and then you can advance from there.
So, Jerry, that candle wrap, I know some people are going to ask. The embroidery that you had on the front is beautiful. Any tips for what stabilizer to use? Did you use a water topper with that?
Yep, good point. Yes, I did use a clear topper on this as well, so that the fabric, the thread would not sink into the wool, and then just a basic cutaway on the back. And after I embroidered it before I assembled this, but you're going to use a cutaway on the back, and then you just want to trim on the back as close to the flower and the leaves as you can, without cutting into your wool, and then a clear topper on the front. That way the stitches stay on top and they don't embed into the fibers. And that was it. And it stitched beautifully. I had no thread breakage, no skippage. It just was a workhorse.
Super cute. So Michelle wants to know, when you were sewing those booties on the sewing machine, were you using a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch?
Yeah, just a straight stitch. Like, again, simple. Yep. The KISS method. I try to keep things as simple as possible. Yes, you could use stretch stitches on your machine, but I didn't need to. Straight stitch was absolutely fine. And the feed dogs worked just fine. Pulled that fabric through just like regular fabric.
So nice. What a great idea. Oh my gosh. I should start doing that for next year for gifts now, because those are fantastic. I have, some of those, and you're talking about going to look for things on sale. Right now, a couple of the department stores, not a brother product, so we're just going with the department stores, but they have a lot of the ugly sweaters and all those like super clearance. And I'm always thinking, right, I should buy one of those. And then I don't, because I know I'm not going to wear one, but I could definitely see cutting it up and making something fun like this, or even a candle holder. How fun.
Yeah. And that's what I suggest is, again, thinking out of the box. Think of fabrics and things like in sweaters in a whole different way. What can I make from that? Let's look at the design and the texture, not the actual function of what it is.
Absolutely. You were talking about finding something fun and easy. One of the things that I do love with sweaters is quite often I love the super soft sweaters. Now, this would not be for felting, but super soft sweaters, sometimes they have a little acrylic in it. But I love cutting the sleeves off of a sweater I don't like and attaching it to something else, like a tweed jacket that's too stiff and I don't like it anymore. I take the sleeves off and put sweater sleeves on there, and then they're nice and comfortable, and I still have that gorgeous jacket. There's so many ways to utilize what you're talking about. But I have to say, the dryer lint, you got me on that one.
I had a feeling that was going to blow everybody's mind. So yeah, use everything that you can. Yeah, it's so funny when I go thrift shopping or clearance shopping, and I have all these women's dresses because I want the silk or the satin or all these really cool designs, and I'm like, I'm not a cross dresser, really, I'm not. This is for the fiber, and they're like, yeah, right. So I'm not wearing these. I'm just using it for the fiber. I just want that. And I found some gorgeous, silks and satins and all these kind of funky things. I even had a friend who was an upholsterer, and he was reupholstering a sofa for a friend. And I said, what are you doing with all of that? And they said, we're probably going to just throw it out. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'll take it. And they were happy to just donate it to me. So yeah.
Wow.
Check with your interior design friends too. They have a whole lot of sample things, and a lot of that stuff too. It's really easily accessible, and they'll just give it to you because they don't want to keep it.
I was just thinking about that. My uncle years ago had a furniture store, and he gave my mom a huge box of swatches about this big. Each one was huge. And I kept thinking, I'm going to do something with those someday. I ended up giving them away because I'm like, I've got way too much other stuff to do besides this. But and they were free because they don't use those samples anymore. They were from, couches or, products from. That is a great idea.
Yep. And another thing too to keep in mind is kind of have an idea what you want to do with the sweaters. Don't just start collecting them because of this show, right? Oh, I've got this. I'm just going to go get sweaters. That's great if you do. If you're inspired, I'm thrilled by that. But try to have something in mind. Try to have an actual project that you want to work on so that you'll use them. Because otherwise, it happens. We cut these, we get all worked up about this stuff, and then we go and we get this stuff, and then it's sitting there and we never use it. So use it. Find a project to use it with, or find a project first that you would like to, and then go find the sweater that's as close a match to what you have in your head as far as a final project. So that way you'll use it.
That's a good idea. I was just trying to think, of course, this has been such an inspirational show, and my mind is just like squirrel like crazy. Because I can't wear wool anymore because it makes me itch. But I was thinking, even if I can't do the felting part, an acrylic sweater, which is super soft, feels like silk, is gorgeous. I wonder, do you have any ideas, Jerry, that I love the way you put that in between two layers of organza. Could you put maybe a thin batting on that or something and make like a vest out of that? Do you think that would work and do that embroidery?
Absolutely. Sure you can. Now, again, you want to be careful. Like if you're going to free motion stitch on that or maybe like quilt it down, you're probably going to lose some of that stitching. Like I say, test. Always do a little scrap sample first. That thread may embed into it a little too far. You might lose the design, but try it. I mean, that's my whole inspiration for this is just give it a shot. Get out of your box, just give it a try and see what happens. That's how the magic happens, folks. It's not the everyday mundane stuff that we do. It's the stuff that we do just out of the box. What would happen if I did this? And next thing you know, you've got a whole magical thing that has opened up, a whole new world has opened up to you.
Absolutely. Everybody's saying, go to the drapery stores, the furniture stores. Exactly.
Yep. Remnants in stores. Check the remnant bins for all of that as well.
So much fun. I'm going to have to work on something really cool before I see you next, because I have I just did a clean out in December of like stuff that either didn't fit anymore or just has become like not my favorite. I just don't wear it and I'm trying to declutter. But of course, some of those sweaters I could not get rid of. So I'm going to have to go back through the bag and find if there's any I could do some of this fun stuff with, most particularly those shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But exactly, like I say, make sure it's things that you're going to use. If you have an emotional attachment to them, you don't want to cut them up, then don't, because you're just going to upset yourself. But if you have some, dated sweaters, again, try to see, can I add some embroidery to it? Can I hand dye this if it's a natural fiber? And just really elevate that sweater to something new. Add some embellishments. There's plenty of YouTube videos where you can, You can add embellishments to things like, you can find all sorts of videos to things like that. Or you can watch Facebook Live with Angela, and you can get inspired for all of this stuff as well.
So
Another thing,
I
a
have to.
really important thing that I want to say though is, and this is kind of an earth thing, try to donate your sweaters, especially if they're polyester or acrylics, any kind of man-made fibers. Please don't just throw them away, because they're going to be in a landfill and they're going to be there forever. That stuff does not break down. Please try to donate them, or again, just start cutting them up and just seeing, it's a fiber, folks. It's just like fabric off a bolt. See what you can make out of that. Maybe you don't have to make an entire quilt like I did, but you can do like a mug rug or something like that. The first one that I held up would be perfect. That quilt block I made perfect for a mug rug, and it's absorbable, it's thick, it's nice. So just, think on the smaller side at first. Don't think big major quilts like that, but just think on the smaller side and try to use up those things and keep things out of the landfill as much as possible.
And Jerry, somebody did say that quilt behind you. They popped in a little late. They said that quilt is absolutely gorgeous. I definitely agree on that. I definitely agree.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun to put together, and it was fun to find all the fabrics too. And again, I found that sweater, and I went, this would be perfect. So and that was the first time I had used a sweater in a quilt block, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this again. This was awesome. So it turned out really, really well.
That's gorgeous. So all of you watching, if you end up doing a refashion with sweaters, or you end up making those adorable little booties, which my mind is just going right there right now. And you know what, Jerry? I'm going to make them all the way up my leg, because that would be, oh my gosh, could you imagine wearing those out with a skirt? That'd be so cute. But I'm thinking there'd be some stairs, but that's okay.
Now, if you chose a Christmas sweater, you'd look like an elf, like little elf booties. But see, now there's costuming possibilities, folks. Now there's cosplay and all of this that now sweaters can get involved in. So yeah, again, out of the box.
80s are back in style. The one thing in the 80s, which I was here for in high school, were the leg warmers. You remember the leg warmers? Oh yeah. My gosh, I'm thinking sweater arms right now, flip them around, and they're gonna, Jerry.
Yep. See, I'm telling you. And that's not just for regular. You could cosplay that if you're doing costuming, Halloween, or just to wear. All of that is back. Don't throw it away, because it's coming. Bell bottoms are back. Who knew that those would be back, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, not quite on those yet, but I'm working on it.
Me neither.
So I think, I think Jerry and I, you might see Jerry and I coming up here in the next month or so. I'll keep you posted at an event together. This is going to be super fun. I will let you all know on the live shows. And also, he was on the Airflow Serger. So do not forget, if you have the Airflow Serger, register it on Brother's site, and you get access to a free masterclass that I did with Kathy Stipe, Kathy Gandy, 2 other brother educators. And that's almost like watching 14 TV shows. They're each 1 hour or more. And we talk about skills and projects. We didn't do any sweater refashions though, because that could be a whole another course, Jerry. You could have 14 lessons with 14 different ideas.
Oh, sure can. Yeah, especially when you add the embroidery element to it. And yeah, you could just go crazy.
Oh my gosh. So any last minute questions I want to check before I go? If not, and even if you're watching the replay, type below, say hi, because Brother Social is always watching. And if there's a question we can answer, we will. Jerry, this has been so much fun, so inspirational.
Thank you so much.
But I'm going home right now to check the lint, because my husband
I want to see the sweater you're wearing made into. I'm going to see the sweater you're wearing made into booties. That's my goal.
After I diet.
After you diet. And embroider on it.
So, everyone, don't forget, I'm just going to put this up for you. Let me make sure I got the right one here. This is how you find your local brother dealer. Don't forget, the new Avenir is out. You have the limited edition. You have the regular edition. Again, register your machine. You have access to the masterclass. If you ever have questions, just leave them below and we'll help. Jerry, where are we going to find you next? Any place that we can, are you going to California soon?
I've got some dealer events that I'm doing coming up in South Dakota and also Indiana. So, yep, look for me there if you're in those states. I'd love to see you. Even just come say hi. I would love that.
Wonderful. And bring your sweater refashions so you can brag what you've learned from Jerry.
Yeah. I'll carry all my stuff. So now you're under pressure. You have to bring your sweater stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, that would be All right, I'm just making sure I'm not missing any questions. I think I got them all. Well, Jerry, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a fabulous day. Sorry we missed Hercules, but tell him that we'll have to work on getting him a sweater.
I will say he did sneak his way in. He's now laying at the foot of my sewing machine. So he did find his way in. I know he's quiet today. He's being very quiet. He's wearing his little doggy CPAP, so he's not snoring. No.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, Jerry, thank you again. And I can't wait to see what you have coming up next. Till
Me
next
too.
time.
I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see you. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you. Happy sewing.